Hi, welcome to HowtoDandD. My name is Fred Wheeler and today I want to talk about Dungeons and Dragons. In particular, what I want to cover is dungeon rooms or dungeon maps. Which do you do? Do you create a dungeon map or a adventure map, or do you just create one single location? For me, it's really been a learning curve. I started off one particular way, and then over time I sort of went with a different strategy because I found that really doing a map, the full map, didn't work for me. I didn't use them. Honestly, maps are a great thing. Dungeon maps, location maps, all very, very exciting. But when you design your own Dungeons and Dragons adventure maps, how are you doing it? Is your map designed around the whole area, a multiple locations, a map of your dungeon or adventure location, or are you just creating bite-sized modular dungeon rooms or locations, which are sort of like a single location that you can sort of pluck and put wherever you need to? Now, in the past, what I would do is I would draw many Dungeons and Dragons maps. They would have at least 5 locations, and as a result, normally I would only use almost less than 1% of those maps that I would draw, and there's a couple of different reasons why that would take place. There's usually more than one reason, right? And I would have players don't explore the map location. For whatever reason, they just decided not to go there. Or I was hoping to use this map in the future, and so I'm still waiting to use it. Or it doesn't fit into the current story at present, but hopefully it will in the future. Or I changed my mind. And the map, I looked at the map and I thought, nah, it's not quite what I was hoping for. I'm going to do something else with it, and I'm just going to leave that and move on. So it didn't really sort of fit for what I had in mind. Oh gosh, I need more information on this map. I don't just need the map, I need a bit of guts to it as well, and it's not there, so I'm not going to bother using it because all it is a drawing of a map rather than something that has all of the other bits and pieces that go to building a location that you can use in your own adventures. So the Dungeons and Dragons Dungeon Master Guide has lots of advice on how to build your own locations, and you should definitely look at it. I know I have. I've looked at it many times. But ultimately what I discovered is by watching a channel called Drunkards and Dragons, and Hank. I was watching one of Hank's videos, and I suddenly realized when he was doing his videos on his dungeon rooms, I was like, I'm doing it all wrong. I should stop drawing dungeon maps of the whole dungeon or adventure, and I need to start just building the dungeon room or the location area, just one location. That was suddenly an epiphany to me. So now all I do is design a single room or location, and I can take that. I can slot it in anywhere I like at any time, and it's not very difficult to do, which is exactly the sort of thing that I really wanted to have originally, but I didn't do that. I didn't do it that way. I don't know why I didn't do it that way, but it's, I guess, a product of learning the hard way. With a bit more detail now. So now I got just a single location with a bit more detail. It was something I'm much more likely to use now. And as it happens, I've been building more and more of these sorts of things, dungeon rooms, rather than just a dungeon map, which really doesn't have all the things that I need. Now, players can't avoid the dungeon room because I can move it around. I can create a library of different locations for my maps, or my dungeon rooms, and I can, often I need like a number of different barracks, or I need a selection of treasure chambers or vaults or something like that. And so my focus is now more on filling in the finer details for my dungeon rooms rather than worrying about all of the other bits and pieces like just drawing a location and then having to build it all out and then suddenly deciding actually it's not quite what I was hoping for. So now I focus on the finer points. That means, how many tables or chairs in there, how many, where are the windows, doors, are there things that the players can interact with? Is there pot plants in there, bottles, cups on the tables, things like that? sconces on the wall for light sources, something like that. Those are sort of the focus now for me. So this means I'm doing the following. I have to draw a dungeon room or dungeon location. I have to decide on the purpose of that location. So is it a mining area? You know, are there mining tracks and carts? Are there old barrels? Are there some, dead miners or adventurers located in this location? What is the purpose of the room? What is the room used for? So this room here is used for transporting ore and mining bits and pieces and whatever's been dug out of the ground. So it's got a purpose to it. Who or what created this location? So was it created by dwarves? Was it created by a wizard or some other creature? Or was it created by something unrelated to a monster, NPC, or creature? Is it created by just natural formation, something like that? Is there a history behind the location? Is there some sort of history that I can work with? I don't necessarily have to build in these things, but these are things that I can think about as I'm going through that process. I can take stuff from historical text and images and then try to turn them into something that sort of makes a lot more sense in my Dungeons and Dragons adventures. So for example, my room or my dungeon might be a barracks, so I will have bunk beds, a table, a fireplace, a place to store their weapons, a cupboard for storing things that need to be stood upright that are quite large, maybe coats. There needs to be some sort of chest for storing clothing. All those sorts of things now come into play, and I can start building those in. Is there other things designed around that in terms of the history? How long has it been here? Has it been here for hundreds of years, or is it just fresh and new? So lots of history stuff can be built into this. Does anybody live here or use this room or location? So that means, are there monsters, creatures, beasts, NPCs, people? Does anybody actually live here or use it? Is there somebody currently in this location or room? These are all things I need to think about. My light sources. Is it a dark location? Is there light? Is there dim light? Is there something else going on that I need to describe and build on? All aspects to building your dungeon room. What sort of smells? Does it make sense? Is the smell that I'm describing to my players and going to put into this room, do I need to actually have a smell? Is there something that's important that stands out? Should there be a trap in this location or not? Not every room or location should have traps. If it doesn't make sense, if we're dealing with something like an armory, does it make sense to have traps in there? Doesn't make sense at all. But a furnace or a place to heat weapons, something like an anvil for beating weapons and shaping them, and armor, repairing stuff, tools on the walls, cupboards, chests for storing stuff, barrels of water, all sorts, a work table, a section of work tables. These make more sense than putting a trap in this location. But if it's something like a treasure location, then maybe it does make sense to have a trap. A place that isn't going to be constantly in use, that has traffic moving through it all the time. Are there going to be some sort of natural hazards or manufactured hazards? Now, when I say hazards, I don't mean traps. I just mean, is there like a crack in the ground? Is there a hazard that's been created in the form of spikes on the wall or a sheer surface? So in other words, that hazard is a sheer surface that's very flat, very difficult to climb. So those are all aspects to building your dungeon room and location. Doors and entrances, where are they located? How many are there? Do I need to, is the doorway just a doorway, or is there an actual door? What sort of door is it? Is it stone, metal? Okay. Is it wood? Is it a combination? Is it made of something else completely different? Or is there no door but just an entranceway, a cave entrance, or just an opening that they can move through? Those are all part and parcel of designing your room and building it in some way. What about my dungeon dressing? Is there going to be some sort of furniture? Our props? Do we have a brazier? Do we have a chest in here? Do we have things like pillars? Or is there a crypt? Is there some sort of sarcophagus sitting here waiting to be explored? And don't forget to include the types of sounds. Is there an important sound that I need to include in my dungeon room or location that will help describe and build it in some way? Not always going to be the case, but sometimes there is. Is there a secret to this location? Are there secret doors, secret books that have to be found, secret magical effects? These are. Is there a diary I have to find, a letter hidden somewhere? Treasure. What sort of treasure am I going to locate in my room or location? Um, is there just going to be treasure in the form of coins like silver, copper? Is there going to be gems? Am I dealing with a treasure chest? Is it just loot? Are there just items of interest? General items that they could find useful, but not necessarily translated into actual treasure as such. These are all aspects to building your location. And what about puzzles? Am I including a puzzle of some kind in this location, or am I providing them with something that requires them to solve a problem? That's often a very big aspect to Dungeons and Dragons, is providing them with an adventure where there's a problem to solve. And often the room or location is a problem to solve, whether it is to get from point A to point B, or to open something up, or to reveal something that you couldn't see currently. These are all sort of aspects to that. Maybe it's to shut something down, a portal that needs to be shut down, all aspects. And so that's why I've been focusing far more on dungeon rooms that I can pluck and place wherever I want to into my dungeon location or adventures. And I can reuse them, or if it's not appropriate, it doesn't matter because I've built it, but I will be able to use it later on because it's not already attached to an existing map. This is why I don't like drawing just the 5 position maps anymore. I prefer to go with something that's unrelated to that. I've been using Dungeon Builder, which is an isometric map making program, quite a lot. I can also draw in isometric, but it's not quite as impressive and a little bit more difficult to do, a bit more time consuming. And of course you don't have to do it in isometric. You can do it in just two-dimensional, looking down, so you're dealing with a dungeon room and then making your notes underneath about all the different things I've just talked about. So this is really the sort of focus that I've had currently with regard to my own adventure building, and I'm hoping that you will find it useful. If you did, excellent. If you have any questions and feedback, make sure to put that in the comments section. I have many videos for players and dungeon masters, which you're welcome to go and check out. I have a Patreon page where you can help support me, so I keep doing videos like this, and you get exclusive content and early access to stuff. I also have affiliate links to the book depository and Amazon. My Amazon affiliate links basically mean you buy stuff, I get a small commission, and they cover pretty much everywhere I can access around the world. So just check what I've got access to. Make sure to share, like, and subscribe. Hit the bell button to be notified if you're on YouTube when I go live and when I publish new videos. Make sure to hit the follow button or the heart button on Twitch TV, because I'm on both YouTube and Twitch TV, where you can make sure to follow me and be notified when I'm live and when I have new videos go up. Okay? And hey, till next time, keep rolling those 20s.